every few months I take the compartment trays out of my propagation station. I go through them all. I check which leaves have developed roots and which leaves are ready to go in the rubbish bin. You can usually tell because they're usually just shriveled up. Like these ones here, no good, no roots. But looking at all the ones today, I've had quite a few develop roots, so I'll plant them all up and see how many will actually turn into plants. Now I make my own succulent soil, but the soil I make dries out quite quickly. So you can see here it's quite dusty already from sitting in the tub. It's very dry. And when you're propagating succulent leaves, they need to stay moist until they're well established. So what I usually do is get probably about twice as much coconut coir as I do soil and mix it all up in a tub. And it stays a lot more moist because it's got all the extra coconut coir in it. And the leaves seem to do a lot better in the coconut coir and soil than they do in just dry soil. Until they're well established, they need to stay quite damp. They're quite a little bit different until the succulent is established, and then you can leave it dry out. So what I usually do is I do have coconut coir in my succulent soil. So I've actually got a tub of it here, and it just comes in a packet like that. Add water, and it absorbs quite a bit of its own weight in water. So here I've got 4 litres of coconut coir to 2 litres of my soil. Tip that in. 4 litres and 2 litres of soil. Oh, quite dusty. Should wear a mask if you're doing this with, but it's hard to talk with a mask on, so I haven't at the moment. For my leaf propagations, I save all our old milk bottles, rinse them out, keep those, rinse them out and cut the tops off. And we drill a couple of holes in the bottom of them there. And I use these as my leaf propagation bowls. So what I usually do is I get my leaves and I just put them around the bowl, around the edges, and maybe 1 or 2 in the middle if I can fit them, but probably half a dozen leaves or 8 leaves in each bowl, and place them around. It'll be easier if I just do it like this and show you. I just sit them around each bowl. Like that. Oh, these ones have even grown roots together here. Just a bit of a... Oh, there we go. Now what you want to try and do is keep the new leaf, the older leaf with the new roots, off the moist soil. Because if that leaf is continuously wet, it'll rot. So I found that the actual milk bottle holds them up quite well. I'll just sit them round. Like that. The roots seem to find their own way down into the soil. Sometimes you can push them down if you want. I usually just sit them around because it's quicker. And what I do is just get the chopstick Just ease the roots down towards the coconut coir and soil. You don't really have to push them too far. They find their own way down there. They know it's moist. Just head them in the right direction. Like that. And we can put them all in. This one is Pippy Prawn. And I'll put the tag in. I've put the date that the original leaf started. See how long we get a plant. These leaves are quite small, these ones. These are tiny, tiny little ones. So what I tend to do with those, it's easier just to sprinkle something like a little bit of quarter minus granite on top of your soil and coconut coir mix. And that kind of gives the leaves something to grip onto. It's heaps easier for me anyway. I just grab them and sprinkle them through, and they seem to just find their own way into the soil. Spread them out evenly. Survival of the fittest. These ones have got quite a few roots there, so just give them a tap. We'll do the same with this one. Just sprinkle them through, spread them evenly. And these little tiny leaves, they're Graptopetalum cherry Danko, which is over here. This one here. It's a beautiful little plant. It has green and pink, depending on how much sun it gets and the time of year. And I pulled those leaves off. And they've been in the tray for a couple of months. Now I'll be able to get about quite a few more plants out of that. This is one of my Pachyphytums. Pachyphytum, Oviferum, and the rest is too hard to pronounce. He lost a lot of his leaves over summer just because it was quite hot and really wet at some point, and I don't think he liked it at all. But you can see a whole lot of new root growth coming out now here. And so I think in a couple of months he's going to be looking pretty good again. And there's a few leaves that have put out roots into the pot here. But I managed to save quite a few. And nearly all of them have developed roots. So I'm going to plant those up today. So I've just placed all the leaves onto the soil and rested the edge of the leaf up against the edge of the milk bottle, just so that the leaf's not touching the soil. And the roots should work their way down into the soil. Any longer roots you can push in with a bit of a chopstick if you want. And this is how many I've achieved today. But it's time for a dog walk, so I'll have to do the rest tomorrow. Well, I've got all my new leaf propagations with the roots sitting in the soil. I've made all my labels. I usually just use an acrylic paint pen and a tag for the leaf propagations until they turn out into plants, and then when there's a few plants I'll make the proper label. But the Pachy was just too hard for writing, so I just printed those straight away. So now for watering, I usually add some root roids to my water, just for the first round of watering to give them a soak. And I use a sprayer, just because the nozzle is easy to control and you can get a nice fine mist to do your plants with. Just give them a good soak with root roids. You can use normal water. I'm just a little bit crazy and I like to try new products, so that's why I've using this. But I've been using root roids for a couple of years on all my new plantings. So give them all a soak all over the roots. Then I leave them in the shade. Every couple of days I give them another spray, just with regular water. Keep them moist. No direct sunlight until they're actual plants, or else you'll probably just burn them.